Okay guys, today is super exciting because if you're an investor, or you're about to be an investor, or you're about to buy your first investment property, or you have 50 investment properties, but you're gonna be buying out of state. If you are an investor with a property, I guarantee you've asked this question to one of your friends or people, or maybe you are looking for this video right now. How do you choose a property manager? They can make or break you. It's a really big deal. So how do you choose a property manager? I promise you, I have done all the research. I've watched all the YouTube videos. I have researched and quizzed many property managers myself. This video, I've boiled all of that down to only 7 questions. There are plenty of YouTube videos out there that will review 20, 21, 50 questions. I took all the noise away. Today, we're going over 7. Stick around. Okay, so first and foremost, before we start, I really want to know, what kind of investor are you? Do you have one property? Are you about to buy your first investment property? Do you have 50 properties? What have been your bad experiences, good experiences? What's your number one question that you ask the property manager? This is a learning experience for everybody. So if I'm not hitting all of the questions that you ask, that's okay. I just want to hear below. Let's make more content. Let's learn from each other. So stop first, drop those comments. Let's hear what you gotta say. All right, guys, number 1, and please don't turn me off because this is so unbelievably basic. It's kind of silly, but we gotta ask the question. Are you a licensed property manager? That's the first question. Are you a licensed property manager? And although this sounds crazy, how many electricians have you let over in your house that may not be licensed, but they know what they're doing? Or drywall people or painters or whatever that aren't necessarily licensed, but we allow them into our life all the time. So that's number 1. Are you a licensed property manager? Number 2, dos. This is kind of twofold, so that makes sense, 2. We'll do a comma. How many properties do you manage? And what kind of properties do you manage? This is huge. So how many? Let's start there. I like to see somewhere between 80 to 500 units, okay? Less than 80 shows inexperience. More than 500, you're gonna get completely lost in the chaos. I've been there, done that, don't like it, don't wanna deal with anybody who has more than 500 units unless they have got an extraordinary team. But again, I don't even wanna go there. So anywhere between 300 to 400 units I think is great. And then what type? This is all gonna boil down to the type that you are about to invest in or have purchased. If you have purchased a single family residence and they specialize in short-term rentals, we're probably not gonna be a good fit. Short-term rentals, they just take a lot of time and energy, and I want somebody who can manage mine and reassess the market yearly and make sure that I'm not getting lost in the chaos. Or let's say I'm buying a single family residence and they specialize in apartment complexes. Again, just not saying they're a bad property manager, they're probably just not the one for me. So how many do you manage? Between 80 to 500 I think is a good number. And what type? Number 3, my favorite number, and this is why I like this one. This one I feel like I kind of created myself, although I have found it out there on the internet a couple different times. It's one of my favorite questions. I love leaning into the property manager a little bit and just asking, do you invest in real estate? You're an investor. I would love to work with somebody who has an investor mindset because opportunities will arise if you surround yourself with other investors. If they are a property manager / have an investor mindset themselves, let's say that they've got a unit that they've been managing for years, have an established relationship with the owner wants to sell, they know that you also own property in this market. They may be able to even assist you with a deal. It happens, and it happens all the time. So do you invest in real estate? They're also going to understand your perspective and the need to keep track of rental rates, et cetera, et cetera. But I just love being around people that are like me. And if my property manager could be like me, that's a bonus. I will disclose that the last property manager that I chose out in Alabama, if you've been following my story, he does not invest in real estate. His wife doesn't really bite off on it, but he's been a phenomenal property manager. So this is not mandatory. It's just one that I really enjoy asking. Number 4, what systems and services do you have in place? And I'm actually gonna read this one off because my brain just overflowed with information for you guys. So some examples of services and questions that you can ask. How do you find tenants? How do you deal with complaints? How do you initiate evictions? How do you administer in-depth background checks? How do you conduct inspections? Those are services that I wanna make sure that they do. And then I wanna know about their system. So what system do you have in place that will show me a quick snapshot monthly of my P&L anything that has maintenance, deductions on there, where payment is coming in, did I lose a tenant, like what system is that? And this is not a one-stop shop, this isn't one answer that I can give you. I just wanna know that they have these type of services and systems in place. And if you can take a look at those and you feel comfortable on how to read those, that's a good sign. Number 5, this may be a little bit of a vague response that you get to, and again, it's not a black and white answer that I'm expecting, but how are you, property manager, going to get me, the landlord, quality tenants? There's nothing worse than a property manager that's like, yep, check stuff on the credit and this and that, and they're just gonna move into your property. I want quality tenants. I want you to give that person the time of day to thoroughly check them, because any good landlord knows that quality versus quantity, there's something to that in the investment world. Turnover is a real thing. And if I can get a quality tenant for longer, that's gonna be key. So they should have some kind of system in place, and I want them to divulge that to me. Number 6, this one is huge. I think this one is super, super important enough to whip out your pencil and paper and take a quick note, okay? This one's a big one. You need to know if they charge a percentage or a flat rate, and this is why. Did you know that there are many property management companies out there that will charge you, the landlord, for vacant units? i.e. when there's no tenant in there, they're going to continue charging you. And the big red flag to that is if they charge a flat fee. And sometimes this is found in the fine print. So be sure that you're asking for their contract so that you can read through it. Typically, if they charge a percentage, that's gonna be based off of the gross rental income that you're bringing in, i.e. if a unit goes vacant, then you're not gonna be charged for that vacant unit until they get that vacancy filled. But if they charge a flat rate, that's a really good indication that they are going to charge you for a vacant unit. Big question to ask. Okay, you have stuck around to probably what you thought was gonna be the first question. And I put it last for a reason. This is number 7. I put it last for a reason. I think most people out there on the internet would put it as number 1, and I just plain disagree. And that's gonna be, what do you charge? What is your cost for being my property manager? In the world of rentals, it's typically somewhere between 7% to about 12%, 8 to 10 kind of being the normal, right? Do not be fearful of paying 10%. A good property manager will save you money. I'll say it again. A good property manager will save you money for reals. I currently if you've been following my journey, I currently purchased 4plexes in Alabama, 20 units. And I thought I was gonna go in and wheel and deal a little bit. I asked my property manager, well, what do you charge? He said 10%. Well, I'm also handing you 20 units. Can you do a discounted rate? I respected the fact that he said, at 40 units, we can discount the rate. He knew his worth. He knew his worth, and from a business and a professional standpoint, I thought, okay, all right, let's see what you got. He has been the best property manager that I have, just blowing my socks off. The communication has been great, the emails, the consistency on vacancies. It's crazy how good he is, and I am happy to pay the 10%. So 7% or the cheapest property manager is not always the answer, nor do I feel like this question should be the number 1 thing at the top of your brain. It is okay to pay the 10% for a good property manager. I actually came up with a quote. I don't want to mess it up. Don't be afraid to pay for quality or you'll pay for foolery. Okay, I hope that was super helpful. Like I said, I have watched all the videos and they can go on and on and on. And yes, there are probably 20 to 50 more questions that you can ask. That wasn't the point of this video. The point of this video was, what do you think are the top 7? And I really feel like if you can ask and get answers for those 7, you're going to have a very good idea of who you're dealing with. Obviously, review the contract. I hope this video was helpful. Congratulations on being an investor, by the way. Remember, at the end of the day, if you have any questions that are real estate related or real estate investing related, who's your homegirl? I'm your homegirl.